Hello, everybody. I am going to help you today by providing a free consultation on immigration waivers. We've been dealing in this area for 27 years, and to be honest with you, there's no easy way to present this. It's not something you're going to have a laugh over or that you're going to be highly entertained. And we were struggling with trying to figure out how to best present it, but we had a specific waiver that we conducted in the last couple of weeks that I said to myself, you know what, this would make great lecture material. So what I'm going to do is go through the elements of that waiver to explain to you what's involved in putting together a waiver for immigration fraud. Now, for those of you who don't know what the word waiver means overlook, forgive, move on with. And so this is for people who have willfully misrepresented something to the Immigration Department, the CIS, and are now seeking to be forgiven, for lack of a better word, for their past deeds and let back into the country. Now, we've dealt with all kinds of clients, from family members to CEOs, who have done something in the past or represented something to the immigration officials. Now, I'll just use the term immigration officials, as a generic term. And they didn't realize how important it was. And now all of a sudden they're trying to get in, they're investing a few $1 million, or they're marrying a U.S. citizen, and surprise, 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 somebody took it more seriously than the client did. That would be the Immigration Department. And now all of a sudden these people aren't able to be let in. There are a number of different types of fraud that we've dealt with. Usually it's misrepresenting your identity. But in any event, what I've decided to do is go through the elements of this waiver and give you an idea of what's involved, what a waiver is all about, and this way you'll understand this area a lot more. As I stated up front, you are not going to be entertained. This is your life on the line anyway, so it shouldn't be something that's highly entertaining, but there's no easy way of presenting something this sophisticated and this difficult, because I've heard that under 1% of immigration lawyers even prepare waivers. Now, let's start with an important code section. INA is the Immigration and Nationality Act. Those are the immigration laws. And if you look under 212, you're going to find a list of items that, for lack of a better word, are no-nos. I'm going to try and keep this as simplistic as possible because I don't need to impress you with my legal knowledge or acumen or any big words. I want you to really understand the spirit behind immigration fraud waivers or the immigration fraud area. So let's look at section INA 212. The subsection, for those of you who like that kind of thing, is A6, big C, small I. Any alien who, and an alien is anybody who's not a U.S. citizen or resident, by fraud or willfully misrepresenting a material fact, material means important, seeks to procure, which means get, or has sought to procure or has procured a visa, other documentation, or admission, and this is the one that's the most popular, by the way, into the United States or other benefit provided under this chapter is inadmissible. So, if you saw our video on the B1 visa, where a lot of people, like the consultant that had called us, lie to the government whenever they enter the country in order to make entry or obtain a visa on fraudulent facts, if they're caught, they will be inadmissible. So then we go on to talk about the Foreign Affairs Manual. There are a number of areas that we get our law from: the INA, the Immigration and Nationality Act, the FAM, Foreign Affairs Manual, the CFR, which is the Code of Federal Regulations. I like to think of the INA, the law, as the machine, and then the CFR as the owner's manual. It tells you how the machine operates. And the FAM, the Foreign Affairs Manual, is another owner's manual, if you will. So here it states the Foreign Affairs Manual directs consular officers applying this ground of admissibility to keep in mind, and then in quotes, the severe nature of the penalty that the alien incurs, lifetime exclusion, unless a waiver is obtainable, is possible. So the FAM, Foreign Affairs Manual, says that when imposing the penalty, the officer should keep in mind the Attorney General's quotation in a landmark opinion, shutting off the opportunity to come to the United States actually is a crushing deprivation to many prospective immigrants. Very often, it destroys the hopes and aspirations of a lifetime, and it frequently operates not only against the individual immediately, but also bears heavily upon his family in and out of the United States. And that's from a case known as the matter of S and BC. So what we're going to be dealing with today in this particular document that we've created is misrepresentation and fraud. Those are two grounds of inadmissibility. Inadmissibility means you can't get in, something that keeps you from getting in. So the standard for finding somebody inadmissible for misrepresentation, which, by the way, misrepresentation is one of the more popular areas of fraud we find. People think that the officers are stupid. Remember, these officers do this every day. They're much smarter than you think. A lot of times they can read you before you've even arrived at their desk. But anyway, the grounds. Number one, there's been a misrepresentation by the applicant. Number two, the misrepresentation was willfully made. And three, the fact misrepresented is material. Material means important or critical. To find an alien inadmissible for fraud, and before we told you about misrepresentation, the standard is as follows. There's been a misrepresentation by the applicant. The misrepresentation was willfully made. The fact misrepresented is material. Number four, the misrepresentation must have been made with the intent to deceive a consular or immigration officer. And number five, the representation must have been believed and acted upon by the officer.